Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is May 15th, 2022. I'm your co-host, Thefatwizard, joined today by
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today we're taking a look at Halo Combat Evolved, released in North America November 15th, 2001, and we're playing this on the Xbox. Gents, this is our first Xbox game we're covering. Does that make you happy?
We're finally in the era of the Xbox and the PS2 where graphics are better and stories are getting better.
Getting there, yeah.
I have a confession though, is I played on PC, so
that's okay. You played the Master Chief collection.
I did do that, but also I think back in the day I played the PC release of Halo Combat Evolved, which they did I think a little bit later, and that's mostly how I played the Halos.
Okay, awesome. Actually, a quick heads up, we did say that we were going to be playing Tomb Raider, but for the first time in like 3 years since we've been doing this, I kind of checked out of that one about halfway through. I was like, I don't know that we can do justice on this game. It's not really clicking for me. So that's why we are doing Halo, so we will not be doing Tomb Raider. So sorry to folks that were really looking for Tomb Raider. Anyway, Alamaxia, you said something about stories getting good. So was the Xbox with Halo what you were thinking about with good stories here? And if so, tell me about what's going on.
Whenever I first got into this, I was not expecting a story, but I believe that Bungie they put together a masterpiece of a game that has a compelling story that drives through all the levels. It builds on itself. It has twists and turns, and it's a first-person shooter that has extremely fluid and wonderful combat. I really believe that this was a defining moment for first-person shooters because of the story they were able to weave.
Yeah, and you're talking about fluid movement. This is, in my mind, this was the game that figured out how to do first-person shooting controls on console. You know, you think about something like GoldenEye, where you have this weird movement scheme where the face buttons, they only had one analog stick, so what can you do? But the face buttons would move your camera up and down, whereas in the Xbox, you had two analog sticks. You can move around with the analog and then move up and down, or move your camera up and down with the analog. So yeah, and actually I'm playing here on the analog sticks, using the Xbox. So I'd like to think that I'm nailing some pretty awesome headshots, but I think we'll leave it to you folks to decide here.
Yeah, this game was definitely built for controller. I remember playing this when I was much younger. The aim assist on this is pretty heavy because you can get some pretty awesome headshots with the pistol.
Okay, now you're just downplaying all my achievements here. Oh, it's aim assist, yeah.
But
it's actually easier to not aim. Just let the gameplay itself.
All right. I'm going to kick you folks out here. All right, Alamaxia, why don't you walk me through the story here? Like, what's going on?
So,
and actually, it's in the manual. They give you a little prelude, but walk us through even like why we're not at Earth. Like, why did we not just run away to Earth on this ship that we're on?
Well, we were running from the Covenant, which is an alien race that the human race has been at war with for quite some time. And right now, we were being chased. We came out of hyperspace, and they were still chasing us. But in front of us is this, giant ring. We aren't really sure what it is yet, but the Covenant are boarding, trying to take us down, and we believe that they are after our AI, Cortana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so going back a little bit further, I think it was like the Reach, right? Reach was it a planet or a station? Yeah, it was a military station that I think hosted the Spartan program. Am I right here? Stop me if I'm wrong. And so that was what was developing all these Master Chiefs, or whatever they called them, Spartans. The Covenant basically found that base, and so this ship, I think this is the Pillar of Autumn? Is this the name of the ship?
Yep.
Pillar of Autumn jumps away into hyperspace, but the way they have a protocol, which is actually really cool, and it's in the manual. I thought it was very creative. is if you're running away from Covenant, you don't want to lead them to Earth because presumably the Covenant doesn't know where Earth is. So you have to like hyperspace away from Earth. And so that's why you jump out and you're kind of the middle of nowhere. So I thought that was like a really cool detail as to why you are kind of this lone ship out in space and you got to figure out, hey, how do we kill the Covenant boarding us? So I wanted to just articulate that because that's, it's really cool thinking about the, as we're talking about like really fascinating stories. It seems like there's a big lore dump here, or at least built out story to start your adventure on.
And I like how they planned this out many years in advance, because Halo Reach didn't come out until the 360. I mean, wasn't it right around the Halo 3 release, a little bit before?
Yeah, it was after ODST. Yeah, I think it was between ODST and 4, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, just a pretty cool intro thing here. You are cryogenically frozen, or, in cryo sleep. Covenant board, and they're like, I think there's something like bring everyone out, and Cortana, who is this AI agent, is like, everyone, Captain, and he's like, everyone. And so that's this whole sequence of you coming out of this cryo chamber. And they do this thing I always really like in games where they're like, hey, look up towards the lights. Now look to the right towards the light. And based on how you first move your controller to move up, that's how it orients if you have inverted look or not. Mm-hmm. So for instance, if you want to look up, some people will hit up and some people will actually hit down. And it's just kind of how people are trained in terms of like, are they used to flight simulators or whatever? So yeah, I think that's a really great mechanism to start the player feeling, getting the controls to feel right for the player. But so anyway, you go ahead and you find the last escape pod here, and you burst out, and we've completed the very first mission. And we should mention that the missions are pretty cool how they're structured. They have like one big mission, and those usually take a good hour, and then they have these little side missions, not side missions, but maybe like checkpoints, and each of the checkpoints has some sort of name associated with it. Mm-hmm. So you can call it like kind of sub-levels. I kind of like that. And the screen does a cinematic thing where it kind of like letterboxes, and then when you're playing it, it goes full screen. So some cool little touches to really add some cool presentation to Halo here. Mm-hmm. Now, Lobos, I can't remember. Had you beaten Master Chief before here? Or is this your first time into Halo?
I've played through Halo. This one I had played through Halo 1 and 2 and Reach and maybe 3. Okay. But yeah, I did this on, like I said, PC a long time ago. And it'd been a long time since I played all the way through it. But it was a lot of fun to come back to, because what I remember from Halo is the combat. Just like they make you feel pretty powerful. They give you some really powerful guns, but then they can also just, they can put you in your place really fast too. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's like a big kind of like Doom sort of, where you're going through levels and then there's like combat sections and they just start spawning enemies and you're like, oh, like it can be frantic but fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a very bullet spongy game. Everything except for like the smallest enemies has some amount of shield to it, and there's
we're talking about. Oh, keep going.
I was saying, then there's different weapon types that actually affect different, damage types of the enemy. So if you grab like an alien weapon, we just saw a Needler just a moment ago. I think you could picked it up, but your alien weapons will damage shields extremely quickly, and then your human weapons will tear through the health, which is really important to know later on.
Yeah. Now you mentioned something about the smallest enemies, and as I understand, Master Chief is about 7 feet tall, which means these little guys that you're seeing, they're not like 3 feet tall. They're about 5'5" or something like that.
If you put them right next to a Marine, that puts it in perspective. They're grunty little guys.
Yeah. It's just funny to think about, because you look at them, they're these little cute guys. I was like, no, they're like 5 feet tall, so they're pretty massive there. But they're super cute, and they are definitely the comic relief. So the
Right.
little grunts there, they have a high-pitched voice, and they'll be like, the Master Chief is here. And then, if you throw a grenade on them, they'll run around. Or just like if you kill their leader, which is, I think they're called elites, right? The ones with the energy shields.
Yeah.
If you kill the elite, they sometimes will just like run around with their hands flying in the air. So I think the team here at Bungie did a great job in adding personality to the aliens, other than just being like, they're just going to kill you. It's like,
there's world building around the enemies. They're giving the enemies a personality beyond I need to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's really fun with the grunts is if you're able to sit like around the corner from a couple of them, you can listen to them banter back and forth. The amount of detail they put into everything is just wonderful. That they care of how they were having everything being said and being communicated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, the story's gotten away from us just a little bit, so let's talk about what happened. We took that escape pod, and then it crashes and everyone dies but Master Chief. So that's kind of sad. But Master Chief insists on not sitting down. He's like, I'm going to stand up and ride this out. And so he's the lone survivor. And I think right now there are other survivors from the Pillar of Autumn, which we're going to save. I think that's what we're intending to do. Oh, and by the way, the captain, anyone remember the captain's name?
Commander Keyes.
Commander Keyes, yeah. He has seemingly gone down with the ship, and I think he was he intending to crash or land it on Halo? I think he was intending to
He was attempting to land it as best he could. After the end of the Pillar of Autumn, Cortana's like, hey, you better let the autopilot take it in. And he's like, no, she just sees him accelerate the engines and take it in manually. And she's like, that idiot, he's going to do it. But he does end up crashing onto Halo here. And right now it's unknown where he is, if he's even still alive.
Yeah.
But like you said, we're going around, we're saving Marines. Just one installation right here, but we at some point Cortana calls out, look, there are other drop ships, and you look up and you'll see like 3 other drop ships actually just crash into some areas around the level, and those are the 3 different areas you need to get to and just rescue these small groups of Marines that are being held down by Covenant.
I will say that this is open world, whereas the first level was very corridor and really only one way to go. This was kind of an open level, and to the point where I got kind of lost and couldn't find the third Marine camp. Anyone else have issues?
Yeah, they don't give you a map in this. They give you a little radar, but other than that, there's rocks and green and trees all over the place, and I hope you find all the little exits, because sometimes you got to look.
I think eventually it will point out where you need to go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times I play through this game. Getting turned around in this level is very easy to do.
Yeah. So like we said, there are 3 groups of Marines you have to go, and then each time you go there, you are swarmed by Covenant, and we are on our last group right now. You can see the drop ship is coming down. It's got this, what would you call this, sort of like a U shape? They're really just troop transport. So there's a U shape, and then each of the prongs of the U has, call it 4 or 5 guys that come out. And this one, we've got a sniper rifle, and I'm feeling pretty confident about this, my shots here. But it's great. We completed the mission. All we got to do now is jump down here and get into the ship. So let's just jump down here. And Master Chief cannot jump down very far. So I found that I added that because it was kind of funny. You think about, he crash landed a ship. He was the only survivor, and he jumps down a little boulder about 20 feet high, and he dies. So
if you
explained the continuity to me.
In Halo 1, I think it's only Halo 1, if you crouch the moment you hit the ground, you can survive and take no shield damage.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
That was a fun trick. So there's a couple multiplayer maps, which multiplayer in this game is an entire other discussion of awesomeness.
Hey, so we are on to the next one. It's called Truth and Reconciliation. This one's a nighttime map, and you get a cool sniper rifle with night vision. Lobos, walk me now. You've got the sniper rifle with mouse and keyboard, so
Oh,
walk
yeah.
me through how much fun you had on this map.
Oh yeah, I love snipers. I mean, especially around this when I was playing this as a kid, like I just played a ton of like Quake 2 and just all sorts of like really fast paced, just like single click to kill gaming, and the sniper just fits right into that. And they're like, if you stay stealthy, try and take out these guys on the turrets, and to a point you can kill a bunch without anybody noticing you. But once you like walk up to a certain point, then they all start aggroing. But the sniper's great. You don't even need to like zoom for it to be accurate. It's insta shot. Very satisfying to kill with.
And the night vision works pretty well here. You can get the lay of the land. And in this game, they do a really great job on never making it feel like you're a one-man army. I mean, you kind of are, but you've always got Marines with you. In this situation, the Marines held back until you effectively aggro the encounter, and then they come out and they charge the enemy. And so it's very much this thing of you and your Marines fighting against the alien covenant. So that's pretty cool. And they serve to take fire from you. There is friendly fire, so you can clip them a couple times.
I mean, they're walking ammo reserves.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now we're seeing there's some mounted weapons in the game. I didn't find them particularly useful because in this game, if you're a stationary target, you are ripe for a plasma grenade to just land on top of you. And that, the plasma grenades stick. So when you hit something with them, that's it. They're going to blow up. Sometimes the enemies, when you stick them with a plasma grenade, will actually charge you. But yeah, it was bad times when you got stuck with grenades.
Well, let's talk about some of the other weapons also, because there's other grenades.
The hunter first here, if you don't mind.
The which one?
The hunter fight.
Yeah.
Because we just got our first hunter. So, Alamaxia, why don't you walk us through the hunters, and then we can jump to weapons.
Yeah, so the hunters are much larger than the elites. They have armor, they have a big shield, and they have a huge plasma rocket launcher that they will launch at you.
Yeah.
And if you get too close, they'll lurch forward and try to slam into you. And you fight two of them at one time. It can be pretty overwhelming. You can't really do damage from the front, but hitting them from behind is quite effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think they use, I think you said a plasma. I'm not sure if it was a plasma or fuel rod, because I think in the Halo, one of the later games, you actually get to use that weapon.
Yeah.
I think they call it a fuel rods or something like that. So, now we're on the topic of weapons, and you already kind of, keyed us up for that. Let's talk about some of the other weapons.
Yeah. My personal favorite, and I think everyone's personal favorite, the just straight up Marine pistol. It is by far the most overpowered gun in the game, and that is, by my understanding, the result of one developer just being like, the last day, we're going to up the damage of this thing.
Okay.
Nice.
But you have the pistol, which has a basic zoom on it, really great for just taking down enemies that don't have much of a shield. You have the assault rifle, which does significantly less damage than the pistol, but I mean, it's an assault rifle. It has a large spread, a large clip, and it's just meant to tear through as many of the enemies as it can. Then different grenades. We have the frag grenade, which we started out with. Again, it's just more of a physical damage, blows up a whole bunch of enemies. And then there is the Covenant sticky grenade, which, like was the saying, you can throw it and it sticks to someone. And if you stick it on a grunt, then they'll generally just kind of run away and try to get back to their leader. If you throw it on an elite, they will charge you and try to death grenade you, which happened to me many times in the game.
Oh, no.
And you got your energy weapons. You've got a plasma pistol, which is I think that's one where you can just you can charge up and then do a big shot that overloads shields, but also overloads your gun. So you kind of have to cool down, or you can just rapid fire that thing. And then there's also another plasma. I don't know what this is, but it's more of like a plasma rifle. That one's my favorite.
That one's really good.
Yeah, because that's kind of more of a rapid fire. And then, of course, there's the Needler, which I think I love this gun too, because it's a homing gun. And they shoot out these. Well, first of all, the gun looks cool because it's got spikes on it, right? It almost looks like you're holding a porcupine.
Yeah.
And then shoots out these little purple homing things, and those stick. And then after a second or two, those all explode and do damage. And then, of course, we've got later on, we'll find a shotgun, which becomes very, very useful in the library level for me. And then there's even a rocket launcher, which I actually didn't use at all. And I'm curious, Lobos, what was your go-to weapon there?
I, for some reason, have always enjoyed the human weapons more, but in some levels, you really have to just dig in and grab some of the alien weapons. Yeah. So the plasma rifle for sure. I love the shotgun when they give it to you. The pistol I love and the sniper, but I would almost always have I would make my loadout one kind of ranged single shot and then one kind of rifle type where I can kind of spray or just shoot little things more easily. Yep.
All right. So, great description of the weapons here. And then, we forgot to mention the sniper rifle does have that variable zoom with the night vision. So, a little bonus there. So, we just went into the Covenant ship here, and we are rescuing. Is this Keys?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yes.
We learned in the last level that we heard some Covenant chatter that Keys was still alive and they had him hostage. So this is us going in there to bust him out.
And what was the name of this? Truth and Reconciliation? Was that the name of the ship?
Yeah.
That's just the name of the level.
It is the Covenant ship called the Truth and Reconciliation.
That is such a cool name. I gotta say, the Covenant know how to name things. I'll tell you that. All right, so I want to prime people for this moment that's going to come up here. We talked about friendly fire, and this is an escort mission, so you need to make sure that your captain survives. So there is friendly fire. You can kill your captain, but I'm not going to do that. However, there is totally friendly fire from other Marines, as we'll find out here in just a second here. So what happens is you've got a Marine buddy, and this Marine buddy is like, we're all dead. And Commander Keys is like, hey, chill out, soldier. We'll get through this. And then Covenant storm the area. And the Marine flips around. He starts shooting the Covenant, but the captain walks right in front of that and kills him.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, that's an interesting one for those stories. So that's maybe a little unfair that the captain was killed by his own comrade and resulted in a game over for me. So I think that what that means is just kill everyone but the captain.
And it's especially difficult in that room because there's stealth Covenant, which that's another thing, is that they're elites that can put themselves in active camouflage, and they just have kind of that shimmer about them where you can you look at them and you can tell that there's something there. But this one in this room has a sword. And the energy sword is a one-hit kill. So if Commander Keys is, anywhere in open area, he's probably going to get mowed down.
And the energy blade is another one where they add that in Halo 2. It's a very iconic weapon, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
To the point when I played this, I was like, wait, I can't pick that up?
Right, yeah.
So I want to move on to the next level here. This one's called the Silent Cartographer. And for me, this is Halo. For whatever reason, this level is Halo to me because you come down, you're in a dropship. By the way, one of the things they do really well is they transition between what looks like cinematic mode to gameplay. So, you're flying the ship, it all kind of looks cinematic, and then the camera just, gets larger, the cinematic mode goes away, and now you're actually playing. And so that's super cool because you're in the ship and then you're actually shooting. And so you start out, you're kind of storming this beach here. There's a bunch of Covenant. Then when that's done, what do they call those? Pelicans?
Yes.
Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm
Echo 419.
I'm on top of
the
naming. I've got it. All right. So the Pelican comes in here and drops a Warthog, and the Warthog is a Jeep sort of thing where you drive around, and then you've got a buddy that can go in this mounted machine gun. He kind of stands up in the back there, and then someone also can sit down in the passenger seat. And if you happen to be playing multiplayer, were you playing multiplayer, Lobos?
I wasn't, no.
Okay. But if you're playing multiplayer, you can have your buddy drive while you shoot or vice versa. But if you're playing with the AI, which I was, they can't drive around, so you have to drive around and they can shoot. But yeah, vehicles play a big part in this game for both combat and traversal. So it's really it lends itself to feeling like that's just, honestly, Combat Evolved is a really good subtitle for this game because they really, have combat on a large scale.
What I really like about the combat in this game is there's such a large range of like power. Like there's, the assault rifle, which feels like, I don't know, kind of any game's assault rifle. It takes a lot of shots, this and that. But then you've got like melee is incredibly powerful, especially if you hit people in the back. Yeah. If you run into them with a Warthog, it'll one-shot pretty much anything. It's just like, it's such a huge range, and it's really satisfying when you find those things that just work really well or do a lot of damage.
Yeah, early on in the game, you are told that if you melee creatures in the back, that will instant kill them. Spoiler, that doesn't work on the hunters. I think they just kind of shake it off. But yeah, I think the grunts and the elites all right, so what are we doing here? By the way, here's something that always confuses me. So there's this thing called the Silent Cartographer, right? And I think the Silent Cartographer is some sort of mapping system that we want to download some data from.
We're trying to get the map of Halo so we can find basically a cache. We don't know what this cache is. We believe it's a weapons cache because we on the Covenant BattleNet we heard them talking about it.
The thing is, for some reason I always associate the Silent Cartographer with the 343 Guilty Spark, which we'll see later on. Like, to me, that guy should not be called Guilty Spark. He should be called the Silent Cartographer. So I don't know why. It just seems cooler that way. So if I call him the Cartographer, you know what I'm talking about in the future.
So before Guilty Spark.
Guilty Spark. Before we actually get to the Cartographer here, we need to go around this island. So again, you were dropped on this beachfront, which looks gorgeous, like really, really looks good. You got this nice peaceful ocean. You got this island with just kind of sand and beachy and rocks. And you have to drive around because there's a security substation that you've got to go and deactivate. And then you can go down into the Silent Cartographer, and it looks like we are now just downloading some schematics or whatever. Then you just kind of fight your way back up, and like Alamaxia talked about, these little dudes with the cloaks are ready to ambush you.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad of a fight.
One thing I do love about this level, and you really see it pour into the other levels, is the level design. This is very much a mission where you need to get to a point, get something, and get back out. And they're really good about reusing and repurposing the same areas in the level where you have to go in, do something, and get back out. And it's a firefight going both ways. But this level in particular, after I played it a few times, I realized how actually small this level is. I mean, there's this outer ring of an island, and there's 2 installation areas you can go down into. It's really easy to get lost, even with just those 2 options. Yeah. Because the inside of the areas seem very similar. It's like each level has kind of its arena theme, because you'll see like the same general layout of an arena a few times. But the missions are usually either get in, get out, or just progress all the way through. And the progress all the way through ones, like this one here, Assault in the Control Room, I love because you get much more of that open world and expansiveness of the level.
You mentioned the reuse of fighting into an area and fighting out as it's a good thing, but once we get to the library level, we all know that that's a very, very bad thing.
I think before we depart from talking about Silent Cartographer, it needs to be said how you said that level was like Halo for you, and it was for me too, but because I think a lot of people are familiar with the video where they're doing a bunch of grenade jumping, and basically you would get in the Warthog, and one of your companions would jump in the turret. You would kill him, and then you would rinse and repeat, and each time they could drop some grenades. And if they dropped enough grenades, you would throw another grenade, and it would just mega launch the Warthog, and you could jump in it, or you could do it with guys in it. And I feel like that video just like... It was set with like Blur song too, and I feel like it just like launched that song's popularity even more too.
I mean, just that video launched the game's popularity.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, just the Warthog launching was hilarious. It was fun.
So good.
When it killed you, and because you're on the Warthog, it would launch you up so high you could see the entire level, all boundaries of it from an aerial view.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, there was a lot of that. Even just Machinima. I remember the red versus blue. I think was that a Halo 1 here?
Yeah.
And they would film things with storylines and cool little things like those jumps and whatever. I think they would use the multiplayer, the deathmatch, and the capture the flag and whatever. But yeah, this was really the start of, or not the start, but I'd say almost the popularity of the era of telling, comedic stories or serious stories through the actual, not even the tools the developers were giving you, but just the gameplay there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, now here's the Scorpion. This is a behemoth of a tank. Who wants to talk about this bad boy?
I didn't use the Scorpion honestly too much in my playthrough, but I think
I don't think you have access to it that often.
Yeah, it's pretty limited. But is it right click is a machine gun and left click is a tank fire?
Yep.
Yeah. It's really satisfying, man. 4 other Marines can get on there, and it's a tanky thing. I mean, it's literally a tank, so I would hope so.
And you are given charge of this in this snowy area. So after you assaulted that, are we still assaulting the command center here, Alamaxia? Do you know?
Yeah, we are trying to get to the control room.
Okay. And do you remember what we're trying to do there? Shut down Halo, maybe.
So the control
still
room.
Trying to find.
Yeah, we're trying to find the key to open the cache, and and given the map from the Silent Cartographer level, we believe that this is the next area, which is reinforced due to the amount of Covenant that's already hunkered down here.
But I'll tell you what, the tank sure makes short work of those hunters, right? So the odds are kind of in your favor here.
And one thing I just said that I want to point out is the Covenant are already kind of hunkered down and buried here. We just arrived, so why are the Covenant already here, and why do they already have such a defensive position set up?
Yeah. Because at this point, I think we just think that Halo is a weapon, which isn't necessarily wrong, but it's not the true purpose.
Yeah, that's a cool one of the coolest twists in the game, which we'll get to here. So we are, checking out this snowy area, and also I think when you get here, I think they mentioned something like, maybe they want this to be cold, right? Don't they mention something like, why is it? I think Cortana says something to the effect of, this is intentionally cold. So Alamaxia, do you know why this area is like this?
I don't recall. I don't think I've ever actually paid attention and heard that line.
Okay. Is it possible that this is just a big supercomputer and that this is their cooling? I don't know.
Could be.
Did you read the books before we did this? Alamaxia, come on. All right. And please direct all lore related discussion or complaints to Alamaxia at SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. And here's a cool little scene here. I love this. So you're making your way to this command center, and there's multiple bridges that you have to cover. But some of the bridges, the Covenant here, the little grunts are just they're sleeping, and you can hear them kind of snoring and stuff. And if you're smart, like I was for a little bit, you just smack them in the back and kill them. At what point do you kind of feel bad about that, though?
Yeah. They look so peaceful, just sitting there curled up.
This dude just kind of smacks them in the back. But you get up here, and there's this sub-level called If Only I Had a Super Weapon. And maybe it's fitting that this is the first time you can actually pick up a ghost. And a ghost is this flying ship, so it is true
Banshee.
3D flying. Sorry,
that
it's
is
the
Banshee. Yeah.
The ghost is the hovercraft thing.
Yeah.
The Banshee, you can fly around in 3D space. It's not like super great. You can't, as far as I can tell, you can't fly and shoot in different directions. You kind of have to point your camera at what you want to shoot, which results in you actually flying to that location. But this is a fun thing in multiplayer, right? To have just kind of strafing your enemies and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Did Lobos, how did controlling the Banshee feel in the Master Chief Collection?
It felt pretty good. It's like you do have to kind of be holding a direction, because if you're not, you'll just descend and plummet. But you can hold back and kind of hover there. It's really slow if you go back, but then you're just kind of a sitting duck, and they can throw grenades on you and whatever. But I really liked Halo. They leaned into the vehicle system. I feel like this was one of the first ones that really just did a whole bunch of different vehicle types, and it was kind of unique to it in that way.
Now, I can't hear it in my video, but I know Cortana is dropping a bombshell on us, right?
Yep. She's freaking out. She's kind of introduced into the AI system of the Halo ship here, and she's like, wait a minute. This is not what we think it is. We have to stop Keyes. He's about to do something horrible. And despite them having like this 20 second back and forth of, wait a minute, what's going on? No, you have to leave. Tell me. No, get out there. It's like,
there's no time.
There's no time. We're going to have to stand here arguing. But no, Keyes is about to do something incredibly, incredibly horrible that really sets up the rest of the series here. Mm-hmm. Because like we said, we found out that Halo, it's not really just a weapon per se.
Yeah. Does she actually explain it at that point? I can't remember.
No, she just says, get out. She says, get out there and go find Keyes.
So
just go.
Maybe we won't explain it then yet.
Go!
But this level's kind of cool, because this one is, you go to this almost like an abandoned base, and there's this dude. We just walked into this guy that's firing you. He's definitely broken. Like there's something wrong with him. He's not right in the head. He's seen some stuff, and you're gonna come up to this this helmet. I think the character's name is Jenkins or something. Well, Jenkins, yeah. And it's just a massacre, and you can slot in his helmet.
It's like
display
his chip.
His HUD. His
yeah,
chip,
it's like his head cam footage.
Yeah, and you can basically replay what happened. And I love how they do this, because it's just very this is almost like something from John Carpenter, honestly, where it's just kind of this setup of, hey, the army is coming in, or the Marines are coming in, something's not right, and then suddenly they get attacked by this mysterious force. And it's worth noting, like, the enemy set that you've been fighting up until about halfway through the game here is kind of limited. You've got the grunts, you got the elites, you got the hunters. Is that it? There's
some
only
jackals.
3 different enemies?
There's a couple like variants, but yeah.
Yeah,
the jackals that have the shield.
The shield guys. Yeah,
right. But then suddenly there's this new enemy that comes out that you see your past Marines die to, and then suddenly after that little footage is done, suddenly this door bursts open. It looks like a holding cell,
and they come flooding through.
Yeah, flooding through. And so they start off with these they almost look like little gas bags with legs, like tentacle legs, because when you blow them up, they just kind of poof, like popcorn. And then there's some other enemy. Alamaxia, do you happen to know what these are?
These are just the combat flood. These are the ones that they can run up and melee you for a ton of damage. They have a lot of speed. Some of them will just jump and leap at you with incredible speed, but they can also use weapons.
Yeah.
Which makes them
that's cool.
incredibly scarier, because this is the first time that you're going to fight against enemies that are using human weapons.
Mm-hmm. It's also useful for giving you ammo.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a cool design in that way, because you're like, oh no, but then also they drop you the ammo, and you're like, oh, okay.
And sense. This is also really cool now, because as you are starting to escape from the facility, the Covenant are now fighting the Flood, and sometimes you'll approach the group and just let them kind of fight and see who wins. But that's again another nice piece of world building and lore here, where to your point, Alamaxia is like, why are the Covenant here? Well, maybe they were holding back the flood.
Yeah, I think it becomes apparent whenever you view the footage from Jenkins after hearing Key's like, no, open this door. It becomes really apparent that something big went wrong. And once the flood comes out and you just see them just flooding over your allies, this is something way bigger than the Covenant. The fact that the Covenant are fighting against it and ignoring us means that this is bad. And I think they come leaping out at you the whole rest of the game.
Yeah. This was one of the first games I remember also having kind of like a faction system where like things have, their loyalties and they'll attack you and another thing, like, and it worked really well because. And
speaking of faction, we just got introduced to a new one. I mean, this is like Battle 5 Armies over here, right?
Yeah.
So we just saw a beam from some sort of flying machine come and start trying to blow up kill the flood as well. So I thought that was cool. And I think that's our buddy Guilty Spark, right?
Yep. This is the Monitor 343 Guilty Spark.
And this game, this thing has been so influential in the Halo lore and just the things around it. Because, there's an entire studio, 343 Studios, based off this, right? They make some of the Halo games. They also have in Destiny, they had like a little. Honestly, it was Guilty Spark, right? Does anyone remember the name of that thing? But it would like follow you around and
the Ghost.
Ghost. Yes, yeah. So this thing's hugely influential outside of even just Halo.
In the Master Chief Collection, there are extra cutscenes in each level.
Yep.
There's like one each level that are basically journal entries of Guilty Spark and the thousands of years leading up to what's going on here. And it is such a great lore build that unfortunately it wasn't in the original Xbox, but I highly recommend at least pull up a video and watch those cutscenes. It gives so much more deeper insight as to what Guilty Spark was actually doing here and how things kind of started going wrong.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, you have to find them though. They're hidden in levels. So I found several, but not all of them necessarily.
When you piece them all together, it is good. It's an entirely separate but connected story.
Well, folks, we've finally made it to the library. And there's things that I like about Halo, and there are things that everyone can just, get behind their loathing, scathing hatred for this level.
So this is the one that everyone liked the most.
Oh, I guess
I mean, on Legendary, this is just a cakewalk. You just kind of go down. You just go down the paths. There aren't really too many locked doors.
Yeah, there's no nothing that one shots you.
No,
suddenly,
not at all.
Nah.
So let's talk about why we're here, and then if someone wants to just explain like what the library level is and why it's so iconic.
It's all being the lore guy. I'll talk about why we're here. So Guilty Spark says, "Hey, there's a key down here that we need to get, and it's all the way at the top of this installation. So there's like 3 levels of this installation we have to go through to get to a key that is supposed to unlock the weapon system of Halo, so that they can get rid of the flood."
Yay!
I'm with you so far. Where's the but?
But we find out.
And Lobos, you want to walk us through like why this level is such a pain?
Oh
why
man,
everyone remembers this?
Well, first of all, he's like Alamaxia said, it's like 3 levels of like 3 stories of pretty big, like circular kind of ring sections that you're making your way through. But a lot of it looks the same, and it's very easy to get turned around, just like the other level, and it's just a mess. And constantly there are flood just jumping out at you, spawning here and there. They spawn them behind you. It's almost like kind of like horror the way that they spawn them, because you'll enter like this hallway and you're like, okay, everything behind me is killed, it's safe. And then they spawn stuff behind you and you're like, oh, now I'm on both sides. And It's just a mess. And
the ambience of this level is what really drives home, I feel like, that horror aspect. On the Master Chief Collection and the new graphics, they bumped up the brightness and the detail so tremendously that I feel like a lot of that experience was sucked out of the game. If you play through this on the original graphics, it's by far a more scary experience because you can't see the enemies near as well. And yes, you're getting torn through from every possible angle. They'll be coming out of vents.
And then I know that they said that they were going to make some tweaks to the library level for the Master Chief Collection. Was it just lighting, or did they actually make it shorter?
I think it was just lighting, because with the
so
Master
still
Chief
going through the whole thing.
Yeah, with the Master Chief Collection, one thing that is really cool is you have the updated graphics, and you can just hit tab to go back to the original graphics. And the original engine was so light that all they're doing is they're rendering the entire game on the old engine, just a layer under the Master Chief graphics. So when you hit tab, it just removes that layer. So everything about the game, the mechanics, every single bit about it is identical between the two versions.
That's cool.
It's really cool. I did it so much, and in some cases, I was like, "Man, I actually kind of prefer the original game," and it looks more like what I remember, and it feels better.
And one thing with the original game, I played through it pretty much exclusively original graphics, but there are times, even playing the original, that it's like, oh yeah, this is the original graphics. It was just so good. The graphics they really were on another level, I feel like. They took the Xbox and just the detail of first-person shooters, the world, not making just everything a blank pattern on all the walls and ground. They took the care to build this world. I love it.
Well, we got some unfortunately bad news here. Guilty Spark is a little angry at us, right? He actually sent some buddies to try to kill us. But what was that all about? I thought we had a thing, right? Why is he after us now?
Well, Halo is a weapon. Guilty Spark wants us to be able to use it to wipe out the Covenant. But what?
Yeah, like I said, I'm with you so far.
What he failed to mention is that it wipes out everything in a 25,000 light year radius, and the Halo weapons system is designed to effectively just make the entire universe extinct of biological life, because the Covenant multiply and spread through biomatter, and the only way to stop the Covenant... Yeah, sorry, the Flood. The Flood, yeah. And the only way to stop them, as suggested by the librarian and their kind of more ancient race, is... Well, the only way to stop the Flood is to kill everything.
Just starve them.
To save humanity, you must kill humanity. Sort of thing.
And not just Cortana, humanity, all life on all planets. There was 12 original Halo installations, and only 7 are currently kind of remaining in function. But even between those 7, it would easily wipe out all life in the known universe.
Yeah. Because I think one will activate and cause the others to activate, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah. So Cortana finally spills the beans on a cool moment here, and you realize, well, I guess we'll just have to use a shotgun. By the way, I feel like something we missed in the library level, where Guilty Spark keeps calling you the Reclaimer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's really funny, and Guilty Spark's like, hey, yeah, you've got the perfect weapons to kill the Flood here, and I got my shotgun. Does anyone know, is it the Reclaimer or Redeemer? I don't remember. One of the two.
The Reclaimer.
Reclaimer. Mm-hmm.
Does anyone know what this Reclaimer business is about?
Honestly, not sure.
No, I thought there was a thing behind there.
Because I watched the cutscenes, and they had a little bit on that.
Lobos coming in with the lore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't remember it specifically, but it was some sort of like insinuation that the Spartans or whatever were, part of the plan as with all of this going on. But again, I don't have the details. I don't remember, so I don't want to.
Okay, well, good enough. It's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Well, part of our plan here is to touch these 3 energy bridges or beacons or something, and that blows them up, and we're trying to blow them up for a really good reason, which will be explained by that's the key for someone to come in and be like, oh, I know exactly why.
We are destroying these in order to I'm trying to remember. There's a
flawlessly done, everyone. Good job.
Yeah.
We played this game, right? Just double checking. It doesn't matter. We blew up some things.
I honestly can't remember why we need to blow this up. It's a shield. It's a shield. It's just a shield generator that's blocking something. And I just can't.
Is it blocking the shield that we're trying to get up, or the ship we're trying to get into?
I don't
think so.
Because I don't know.
Well, we're trying to destroy Halo at this point, right? Or reach the control room. Or are we trying to get keys yet?
We're trying to get keys back because we learned that he is again prisoner on the Truth and Reconciliation. So we have to get back onto that level. And this is another part, kind of talking about how they're repurposing levels and reusing them. Mm-hmm. We had to go all the way into that control room and be betrayed by, or meet Guilty Spark, go through the library forward, then go through the library backward with everything else, including Guilty Spark attacking us. We have to get back outside of that jungle area to our ship, and now we're back at the Silent Cartographer running through the same ship that we did before. And the layouts are, you can tell it's the same ship. If you follow the layout of the original level, then you can find your way through this pretty easily. But you're doing it from that other direction, which throws everything off.
Yeah. But there's a big gaping hole in the ship, right?
Yeah.
And so you jump out of there and you have this, it almost looks like this, I think it is coolant that's being spilled into these. Yeah, I think
so
you're basically in a crater of coolant.
Was this optional or required? Because when I did it, Cortana was like, there's this big hole or whatever, and there's nothing but coolant down there. And I was like, I'm going to try it anyways. And so I did it, and then it kept going. But I wasn't sure if there was another way to path through the level.
I thought that the hole's too big for you to jump over.
Yeah, this is the intended way.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you have to basically go up to a, I don't know, like a tractor beam or teleporter or whatever. And that kind of lifts you back up into the ship there. So you're fighting in the ship, you fall out, you go fight on the ground, and then you come back in the ship here. And so, we're, like Alamaxia said, we're really just looking for keys here. A lot of flood has invaded this ship. I would say the flood... So I think what happened was this was blown up by the flood, maybe? No, the flood had the ability to just travel space. We've never seen flood...
Later on, they insinuate that the Covenant are trying to stop flood from repairing the ship. So they seem to have some sort of technological, prowess.
And they can survive just out in the vacuum of space. So once they get off Halo, then that's basically the beginning of the universe-wide apocalypse.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe they don't build their own ships, but they commandeer other ships.
Yeah,
maybe.
Parasites.
But we found keys, which he's had some better days.
He doesn't look too well.
Too much pizza. Yeah. I guess he's been turned into a flood.
Yep.
Because he's just this big thing of biomass, and Master Chief kind of pulls out his heart or whatever and puts him out of his misery. But they do
punches through his face and grabs that a little chip out of his and that chip has all of the basically all of the codes and everything that they need to get out.
Okay. Yeah, and we're going to be doing that. We're going to jack a ship here and just fly out of the Truth and Reconciliation, I think this ship was. And but I think Cortana says something like there's no signs of human left, so it's like, well, that was keys. He went down with the ship. And this is cool. I like you go to the bay, the launch bay here, and you basically just got to jump into a Banshee and fly out. So it's super cool. And then you fly down into the actual planet in which the Pill of Autumn crashed onto. I think this is a Pillar of Autumn, right?
Pillar of Autumn, yep.
Now you're not on a planet. You're still on Halo.
Yeah,
Yes.
The whole thing takes place on Halo, which is really cool with the levels. When you're outside, when you look at the look at the far and back sides of the level, you can see the entire ring, which I always thought was really cool. I was like, I want to go over there.
Yeah.
And this is it's a husk of a ship, and you can see like what I really like about it is all the glass has been broken out, and so it really does look like this crashed ship. And there's of course lots of flood here, and and
at this point the idea is just destroy Halo and all the flood with it. So make the Pillar of Autumn's engines just go nuclear and just nuke the whole planet. Well, I mean, sorry, the facility, I suppose.
Do you think Master Chief has a escape plan at this point, or is he just like, I just got this
he's got Cortana, and she's always got an answer.
Get him out of there.
I mean, he can survive an orbital drop without any kind of protection, so he's probably
he can't survive a 20-foot drop off a boulder.
He can survive an orbital drop. I didn't say anything about a 20-foot drop.
Okay,
it's sort of like a Kinetic Shields, where you bypass the Kinetic Shields by having something that's a little too slow to be
it has a build-up time. It's an auto-detect feature, and he's got to be falling for long enough. So
okay, all right, fair enough. Well, we're in the mess hall here, and we're making a mess of the mess hall. We've got a couple of hunters that were in there, and a bunch of Covenant. Again, I really like this level because it does feel like a human ship, especially just that mess hole there was a cool little touch there. Yeah, we make it to the bridge, and we take out Cortana. And anyone remember what she's saying?
I think you're trying to...
This is where she's setting up the bomb, right? Or the engines to overload.
Self-destruct.
Oh, mission complete. Let's call it a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
our buddy Guilty Spark, he's kind of having a good time. I feel like he's kind of laughing, and he almost has this. As we're fighting him here, he almost seems insane, right? It's really weird, but he has a personality change, and he's kind of he's just having the time of his life, messing with the ship here, and he's stopped the timer and the countdown, so we need to deal with that situation before we can blow up the ship.
One thing I like is about how you said it seems like he's gone insane. The extra cutscenes in the Master Chief Collection actually show his delve into like this insanity that was driven by just boredom. He's been here for I think
isolation.
It's like 4,000 years he's been watching over this installation without any kind of touch base from anything. So he became bored and started... I mean, at one point he was exploding parts of Halo just to see the reactions of
it's
how
funny, it's like this huge span of time, and he's like, "Oh, I left for like 70 years and took a trip to this planet as a vacation and came back, but it just didn't do it." And it's like it's cool.
Yeah, he's a fun character, right?
He's really fun. A lot of layers to him.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the end fight here. I guess this is as good as a boss battle as you're going to get here. It was kind of a pain because there's a lot of repetition. Anyone keen on chatting how we do this? How we overload the engines?
Yeah, there's like exhaust pipes or something that you have to kind of, they're covered by these. There's these pipes that you can pull back by activating a console, and then that reveals an exhaust like manifold or vent that you can throw a grenade or shoot a rocket into. But the vents are like slowly opening and closing, and you got to time it. And there's enemies everywhere, and falls to your death, and you have to do this in like 3 different rooms multiple times, and.
It's a little bit.
It's a bit of a slog.
Like jumping puzzles, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of precise jumping, and if you miss your jump, you have to fall. You fall down on the second level. So there's 3 levels. You start on level 1, and then you have to fight your way on up to level 3, which allows you access to, where all these exhaust vents are that you can open up. And every time, I'm sure you can do it in a way that would allow you to stay up on the 3rd level. But every time I retracted the vent, you have to almost position yourself at a lower level to actually throw the grenade in there. So I found myself constantly teetering between level 2 and 3, and then having, go back up to level 3. I don't know if anyone was able to stay up on level 3 and just kind of do it.
I kind of did the same way, and we never really mentioned it, but the entire game is pretty much like moon physics. Like, you got this moon jump, and it can be really hard to platform on small things, and so I just fell off constantly and would die or just have to run all the way back up.
Yeah, I definitely fell down quite a bit, but luckily there's a lot of health packs in that area, and if you run out of ammo, you could backtrack just a short bit and get to the armory, which is fully stocked with every weapon that you could want except for sniper rifle, which I was very disappointed. Although the sniper rifle was not effective against the flood.
Yeah. You don't want single shot. You want large explosions or shotguns.
The plasma pistol is honestly one of the best weapons I found against the combat flood. It tears through them. I never actually realized it. I was playing through it this time, and I was like, all I have is this pistol left. Holy cow, that thing just went down. And you can fire it so fast.
My choice was always assault rifle for the little balloon flood, and then shotgun for the combat flood. Shotgun was almost one shot every time. But
well, we are on the very last segment. This is a banger right here. And by the way, we didn't talk about the music.
Yeah.
We chatted about the music a little bit for the game of the 2001 deliberations, and it didn't make our top whatever lists there for music. I think it was actually top 3. But the music is just, it comes in, it swells in these moments, right? And this is the moment where you can see this amazing escape sequence of you riding this Jeep away from this. Are we on Halo now, or are we on a ship?
No,
I don't know.
We're on the truth. Yeah, we're on.
We're still on the
the Pillar of Autumn.
Pillar of Autumn. Yeah, so the ship that you came in on.
Halo 3 is the one where you're on Halo and it explodes at the end. So
spoilers.
I always get confused there. Anyway, so yeah, you're basically the ship is exploding and you are furiously driving away, and you get to the checkpoint because you're gonna get picked up. But the landing zone's a little hot here, and your captain, who I think has been your buddy throughout the game, right?
Your dropship, yeah.
Hi, Fohammer.
Yeah, well, she's no longer with us.
And Echo 419, rip.
Yeah.
So again, I really like that because you get to the checkpoint, and you're like, oh, cool, I made it, and then it's like, no, you got another 1.5 kilometers to go, and it's like, and that timer does not reset. So that is really cool. But yeah, the music's going, just all these explosions are happening. There's multiple different paths for your Jeep to travel in. You can take the high road or the low road, and then there's flood that are just coming in anywhere. It's truly a climax to I think end this really amazing game on.
Yeah,
it really is. And this is the only time that I think it's the only time you're actually timed on anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this Warthog bounces around a lot. Some of these landings you have to stick. These little ramps you have to get on. I fell off the Warthog a good 10 times or so getting here.
Yeah.
So while the timer isn't incredibly strict, you do have to
you gotta
keep moving.
Yeah.
Master Chief has incredible strength. He can just like flip the tank with like this pinky just
But he can't drop 20 feet.
No.
I'm so salty about that, guys.
It's because he didn't crouch.
But,
he just has to crouch when he
at
hits.
the
It's
end,
fine.
This is a no. Why was the ship here? Does anyone know what this was? Like, was this like just a ship that was never taken out of the launch bay, or what?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is a pretty convenient ship to have there. But
well, we got it, and now we're just basically escaping the Pillar of Autumn here,
trying to get out of range of this incredible blast.
Yeah. And you can see the flood in the background, and so we know that once we get out of here, this thing's going to blow up, and all the flood will be destroyed, and for all intents and purposes, the fight has been finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
So good job.
Forever completed.
Yeah, this is a cool little sequence though. Just as he's flying away, you've got the ring of the planet exploding, and then you're obviously trying to furiously get away. But yeah, after that, there's just a little bit of lore going on here. You see Halo exploding. So what are we down to? 6 Halos left? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
6 in the galaxy.
6 known that are
6
functional. Known. There's 12 total, so there's
11
left in the galaxy.
All right, so maybe an opportunity for a sequel or something like that, right?
Maybe.
There's also the Covenant that were being attacked by the Flood. We need to go check in on them, make sure they're okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, man, that's kind of the end of Halo, but man, that game really holds up. I think if I were to complain about anything, it's, just, I think we mentioned it's sometimes the areas feel a little samey. There's a lot of reuse there, so sometimes combat encounters feel like you're just kind of like plugging along, especially in the library level there. But for the most part, I think the game held up surprisingly well, even on the original Xbox, and I'm sure with the Master Chief Collection, that just makes that a little bit better, if not only just for graphically the fidelity there, looking better there. But I think even on Xbox, it looked pretty good.
Absolutely wonderful game.
Well, that's going to wrap up that episode. And we got our fantastic Patreon screen here, celebrating all the Patreons that have helped make this episode possible. We wanted to give a special shout out to 2 new Patreon supporters we have this week, Mackie Mole and Lord Nice. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Nice. And one of the cool things that we recently did was, we were able to accumulate enough Patreon supporters to afford a social media manager, which he's been doing a bang-up job, and really have enjoyed the content he's putting out daily. We have daily things now, just got cool like trivia things, polls, questions, all sorts of really fascinating things. I've learned a lot just looking at the things he's posting. So if you're not following us on Twitter, you might want to do that, because there's a lot of content there now for you. And of course, that's Saturday M Gaming on Twitter. You just head on over there and see all the cool stuff that the Patreon supporters are helping to fund. So thank you so much to everyone. And if you would like to fund social media managers or whatever, you can head on over to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com for more information, or patreon.com/SaturdayMorningGamingShow, and you can learn more.
How far are we from our Earthbound goal?
I think we're about 9 or 10 away. Ooh. It kind of fluctuates, but nice. I think we're definitely getting close. And just for $1 a month, right?
Come on, people. Come on.
You can make Earthbound a reality. And again, this episode 42, we got 8 more. I think it would be super cool if we have a 2-hour-long episode 50 covering Earthbound.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. But we're not going to cover Earthbound next, but what do you think we should cover after Halo? That was a banger, right?
I think Halo was a little too serious for me. Why not something silly?
Something silly?
Or
Alamax, do you have any ideas?
The Flood in here were coming in and taking over everyone, but this next game is definitely worming its way into my mind.
Worming, yes. We're going to do Earthworm Jim on the Sega Genesis. So, there are 2 versions. Well, maybe there are more than 2, but there are 2 well-known ones. There are the Sega Genesis one, and there's the Super Nintendo one. And in my opinion, the Sega one was just always better. Better music, better graphics. So we're going to cover that. But if people want to play on Super Nintendo, I'm not going to stop you. I think there was even a Game Gear one, too.
There is a cartoon series.
Yes.
Which
that's
another...
Oh, man.
I don't know how that happened.
The 90s happened.
Earthworm Jim.
The 90s
Man,
made that happen.
That game, I've been playing it. It is incredibly special. And Lobos, I don't think you've played it, right?
I played, at least a couple levels, but I don't think I ever beat it.
Yeah. It's a little challenging.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those where once you understand the patterns and what you're supposed to do, it becomes manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And before we wrap up Halo for good, there's one little zinger that happened at the end of that the credits there. Did anyone catch Guilty Spark? He's kind of zooming around the galaxy, it looks like. So
taking another couple 100-year vacation.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see him again. Well, sadly, we have reached the end credits of this episode, and we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast or watching us on YouTube.
And don't forget to check out your normal podcast locations, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Follow us on there, give us a like, and just take a listen to everything. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, if you have feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com or go to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. Use the contact form there. Yeah, just go there. Just bookmark that website and use it for everything Saturday morning gaming.
Just go there daily.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. Go now. Go. I'm watching. Do it.
And if you're listening to us on a platform that allows you to rate us, please consider tossing us a rating. I've been told it helps in the search rankings. I don't know, but I like to look at it and be like, oh, cool, there's a bunch of ratings here. And then one special shout out to TechnoAxe for much of the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
And I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in June. Well, man, Earthworm Jim has just really got me excited here. So we'll see you in June with Earthworm Jim for the Sega Genesis.
Bye-bye.
Bye.